Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. I do appreciate it. You are no stranger to documentaries that have a real gut punch to them. Um, I feel weird laughing about that, but like, I mean, you did the score for "Mommy, Dead and Dearest," like a very sort of shocking documentary, and "Quiet on the Set" is no different. How do you prepare yourself emotionally to like have to revisit like these images and stories like repeatedly?
Yeah, it is tricky to do that. Especially some of the projects I've worked on with Aaron Lee Carr, like Mommy, Dead and Dearest and I Love You Now Die. Yeah, they can get pretty depressing. So I think you kind of just need to really focus on moment by moment. Like really focus on a small part of the story and what you're working on at that moment, that cue, specific cue, that emotion, and try not to let the rest of the story overwhelm you. Like really kind of just like zero in on one. It's like taking one step at a time. Just like focus on this for the moment. Don't let the whole story come at you. And but also then by the end of it, like once you've seen it 1,000 times, you do kind of get a bit numb to it. So it does get easier.
Like this is like a story that spans years, and like goes all the way back. Like, what was your approach to it? Like, because like it starts off with some music that is, like as the track title says, like it acknowledges that not, things weren't always bad.
Mhm. Yeah, it it was kind of like a an overarching scope of what we wanted to do. Um, because it spans so much time, I think it was really mainly just kind of like focusing on those few moments at the beginning that are happy, because like it is pretty fleeting, the positive moments, and then it gets sour pretty quickly. So we just wanted to have like a few moments of that had like levity to it and fun and possibly like a little bit of a throwback to the early like late 90s, early 2000s vibe. But then yeah, it's then we kind of go straight into drama world, and it's just kind of like having a wide scope of emotions and tones and like a musical palette that can really cover a lot of area.
I see in the background there a piano, which is one of the dominant instruments in the score for Quiet on the Set. Like, what attracts you? What attracted you to using that particularly for this score?
I think piano is just like such a incredibly versatile instrument. It can be dressed up so many different ways. It can be beautiful, it can be threatening, it can be fragile and delicate, it can be like strong and powerful. It really is. It's like the whole world of the orchestra lives inside the piano, depending on how you use it. So I think piano just always kind of becomes prevalent in a lot of music I write, and this project was no exception to that. It's just it can cover so much ground and also kind of influence like where a piece can go. And a lot of times too, like because there's a keyboard like built into my desk that I'm sitting at right now. Like it's just what's always at my fingertips. Um, and a lot of times like I'll write it on this, but then actually take that piano away and move on to something else. But it always starts from there.
Now, the series was sort of like one of the surprises about it was that it was supposed to be a 3 episode series, and then there was a fourth one. Um,
Mhm.
how is that for you as a composer to like have like this additional episode that you had to do work for?
Uh, Honestly, I was happy to because I felt like there was more music to write for the story. I felt there was more story to tell. And most projects I've been on, whenever they've had an episode shuffle, it's usually taking away episodes. Like I've been on something that was supposed to be three and cut down to two, something that was supposed to be two and got t cut down to like an hour and a half film. So, like it's always it's an incredible notion from the studio to be like, no, we actually want another episode. Like this is I think it shows like the story's important. The story's being told well as part as well on top of that. So I actually didn't complain. I was like, yeah, let's go. Like let's I'll give you more.
Oh, what are the thing? One of your scores that I'm a really big fan of is the one for Assassination Nation, which is so like singular as a film because it's so out there and wild.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to sort of like ask like how do you like make that change because you've done so many documentaries and series, like how do you make that switch to score such like a wild like action thriller comedy,
Yeah.
very black comedy obviously.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it is kind of using different parts of your brain. It doesn't happen overnight. Like I worked on Assassination for 8, 9 months, I think. And it was a very collaborative process with Sam Levinson and the film editors. And it was just kind of like a free-for-all audio experiment, like I didn't know what was going to happen. Uh, I would even I would like write a piece of music that was inspired by something, and then Sam and the editors would take it and they would like pitch it down and stretch it out in their Avid session and send it back to me and be like, I like it like this. I was like, okay, that let's go. It's so yeah, it's definitely using kind of more of like experimental part of my brain where I guess not, I mean, a documentaries too. I've had moments where like I really get to explore and kind of just try something soundscapey and different, and I'm running audio through pedals and like manipulating things. But then other times it is kind of a bit more straightforward, like we're writing for underscore, we need to fill the space. It's a bit more I don't want to say academic's not the right word, but like it's a bit more like straightforward. That's the word I'm looking for.
In the last couple of years, you've gotten to do music for both the Walking Dead spinoff, Dead City, but you've also got to do like the I Know What You did last summer series. Um, how is it like coming from the world of like documentaries and original film to be part of what is in one case an actual franchise, in the other case like a reboot where you're revisiting prior material?
Yeah. I mean, it's been fun, and a lot of documentaries I've done have been dark and basically horror films. Like Thought Crimes Case of the Cannibal Cop is basically a horror film. Like Lost not Undercurrents that I did with Aaron Lee Carr. That's definitely a horror film. So I think a lot of this stuff kind of carries over. If anything, it comes with a bit more pressure taking on something like Dead City, just because it's an established franchise that's been around for 12, 13 years, however many, and it's got millions of fans across the world, and you are now being brought in to tell a new part of that story in a whole new light, in a whole new way, in a whole new direction. So there's definitely pressure, but it's also just exciting because it kind of feels like new frontiers in a way, and I get to expand my auditory palette, and I get to try new things. Get to write to different things. Like I love working on documentaries, but it does get tiring just looking at talking heads over and over. It can be difficult to find the inspiration out of that sometimes. So I really like documentaries that kind of take a bit more of a cinematic approach. Like, show me those sweeping landscapes. I want to see that. Like, show me the water tower over the town with the sunset behind it. Like, that's gonna get music out of me.
Well, in that case, like that's a perfect segue because one of the things I did want to ask you about is you did an episode of Dirty Money, which is arguably like one of my favorite documentary series, and that's like very much its sort of milieu.
Mhm.
Um, you only did one episode, but how is that experience for you? Because I mean, like every episode was just like the wildest sort of sitting and screaming at my TV
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Same. Me too, honestly. Like when I watched it all once it was out, it was just like I bet there's one Alex Gibney did about the Volkswagen scandal, and like my wife and I had a diesel Volkswagen that we had to give back to them, and that episode I was just like furious. But yeah, it's always fun. It's interesting when you take on a docuseries project like that where you're one of a few composers. I've done a few of those at this point. There was another one I did called 7 Days Out, where that one I did 3 out of the 6 or 7 episodes, and I also wrote the main title theme for that, which was cool. But you just kind of focus it on as its own thing in a way. Like you don't worry too much about what anyone else is going to do. You actually don't even know what anyone else is going to do because like you're very much just there with the director. That Dirty Money episode was another Aaron Lee Cart project. And I think we just kind of we were in a role of working together on things. So we just kind of took as like, here's another film. It just happens to be, 45 minutes long instead of an hour and a half or so. Uh, but yeah, that was a crazy story. Some crazy music too that came out of it, which is pretty fun to write.
So as you've gone forward, you're going forward in your career rather. Like you've got Turtles all the way down. That's like very, very different, I think, than anything you've ever done. What can you tell me about working on that project?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad you think that because I think that as well. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. I'm so happy that movie is out. I can't tell you. Like we finished it December 2022, and I've just been waiting for a release date to come because we're all so proud of it and we love it so much and want people to see it and connect with it. And thankfully, so far, it seems like that's been happening. But yeah, musically, like I was also just excited for people here because I think it is very different. And I feel like if anything, it's a bit more true to me. Um, a lot of projects you get hired on, you are the composer, you're there serving the overall story and you're serving a vision of the director. And with that comes restraints and confines, which are great because I like having those so I know like where I can go and that kind of forces me to not forces, but like, it pushes me in a certain direction musically of what to write in. With Turtles, Hannah Marks was just like, go do something. Like she didn't really give me too much of like I want it to be like this or like that. She's just like I want an Ian score and what comes out if you have that. So I read the script and then I read the book and then I was like I want to start writing music for you, but just I need to see something. Like do you have anything you can show me? And they had started production, so she sent me just a whole bunch of stills from set that were so beautiful looking. And then immediately the end track of the album, Love Is How It Becomes Real, came out. It was just like right away. And then I did like 5 or 6 tracks like that, almost like basically wrote like an EP for her. And I was like, does this kind of feel like in the direction? And she loved a lot of it. I think maybe only like one track we didn't end up using, but like almost everything ends up straight into the film. Um, the only thing that about that was funny is I would be like, okay, here are my demos. Now I want to go back and I want to record strings. I want to change this. I want to re-edit that. She's like, no, don't change anything. Like literally do not touch it. This is going straight in the movie. You're not allowed to touch it. I did let her have me put strings and drums on a couple things, but a lot of it was very much just like that from the first thing that I wrote, I went straight to the film. And aside from like music edits because the cut was changing, like not it didn't change too much really. So I'm proud of that score and I'm glad people are hearing it because I do think like it kind of stands apart from a lot of other things I've done.
Well, now that like this movie you've made that was made 2 years ago is out, and like you've got these series that are running and all of that, like, um, what do you have like other things that you're working on that you can talk about, or is everything kind of hush hush at the moment?
Um, yeah, I'm definitely working on things, but it's all hasn't really been announced, so I don't want to say it yet. But I will say it's a big mix. There's more documentary work coming. There's more film stuff coming. I'm working on an indie feature that has a relationship to Dickinson in a way, but I won't say exactly how. And then something I can say is Dead City 2 is coming up, which I'm excited about. They're filming that right now, and I think I'm going to be starting on it in about a month or so.
Wonderful. Well, Ian, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coordinating this internationally with me. This has been a real delight, and I hope the rest of your day goes well.
Thanks so much.